So, you've decided to take the leap and start working with wool. Or maybe you've admired a needle-felted animal, a sculptural form, a hat or scarf, and wondered, how is that even made? A sheep and wool festival is a terrific place to begin. Tables overflow with fibers, colors, yarns, and textures, inviting you into hand-spinning joy, wet felting wonder, or needle felting artistry. Roving is the word you'll hear everywhere, and it is the word that ties all of this together. Roving is a kind of fiber playground, but not all roving performs the same way, and for good reason. As some of you may already have discovered, it all behaves one quite differently from another in your hands. Here's the good news. There's no such thing as a wrong wool purchase, but understanding roving and what it is and how it's prepared and learning how to read it can completely strengthen and change your felting experience for the better. Early on, it's easy to choose wool based on color or price. Or maybe you don't choose. You start with a kit. Sometimes you're working with just a few options from a big box craft store. Fair enough. Other times, you're shopping online where all those colors and big quantities may look beautiful and have a bargain price, and still, everything is simply called wool roving. That's actually where the confusion creeps in. Hi everybody, it's Heidi. Welcome to my bright sunny studio this February afternoon. Today we're going to unpack that big word, roving. My intention is to empower you with the skills needed to begin discerning all the details hidden inside that catch-all word, roving, and bring that meaning home to you. Your hands, your time, your creative energy, perhaps your wallet, maybe even your storage space, especially if the place that you generally work is your kitchen table. I'll help you learn how to read roving, both with your eyes as well as with your hands. So let's get started. To dive into the qualities of roving, it's important to begin with a brief discussion about fabrics and fabric production. So there's basically two ways that fiber is prepared for basically two end results in fabric. One is to make a worsted wool fabric, and the other is to make a woolen fabric. Now, very loosely, what that translates into is the difference between a sweater for a woolen preparation and men's suiting for a worsted preparation. In a worsted preparation, all the short fibers have been removed. If you notice this, the only things that are left are the longest and the strongest fibers. Do you see how beautiful all those fibers are aligned? When you see that alignment, you know you're working with something called top. In a woolen preparation, you have a completely different scenario. You have short and long fibers. You have fibers going in different directions. What is the difference in the actual process? Top, a worsted roving, is the best choice for traditional wet felting to create a consistent, thin, flexible fabric. A worsted roving generally does not work for dry felting with a needle, not as easily or as quickly as a woolen roving. In a woolen roving, short fibers remain, and these short fibers want to come together with the longer fibers. The result is a roving that is more efficient to compress and more quickly responsive to the barbs of a felting needle. To recap, combing makes a worsted roving. Carding makes a woolen roving. Both have value in the production of fabrics and to the hand felter. You'll find a link below to a free infographic that can be a great reference point to have when you go shopping. It walks you through the 5 basic steps of wool fabric production, whether by hand or by machine. Most people enter felting at step 3, roving, often without realizing what came before it. Yet, as this video has shown, what happens to the fibers at this moment predicts a future result. Different roving types influence the time, energy, and handwork of felters. You can actually feel it in your hands and begin to discern it with your eyes. Eyes and hands work best together. The feel of a worsted wool men's suit is a smooth, crisp fabric rarely that ever gets fuzzy, even after decades of wear. A warm, cozy woolen sweater feels fuzzier and fluffier, and over time, some short fibers may come to the surface or pill. The choice you make in your roving will influence whether a particular roving will truly work with you or against you, depending on the technique you want to employ. And maybe you noticed something else happening, a quiet recognition of ideas about cloth, especially wool cloth, that feel familiar, like some part of you already knew this. That's your body remembering touch, even if you're brand new to felting. So I invite you to start to study the fiber arrangement in a roving. With practice, you can reasonably predict if that roving will give you what you want, long before a single needle barb or drop of moisture ever touches the fiber. In a future video, we'll cover semi-worsted and semi-woolen roving. I'll create a quick visual quiz with different rovings, and you can test your visual skills right on this channel. Until next time, happy felting and happy creating with wool. Thanks for joining me on Heidi Loves Wool.